if we don't try and make these points as strong and as punchy as possible, then we're not doing ourselves a favour. And hopefully this is a good example for the other chefs to follow, because I think it's very important that we get these messages across. Right. Well, I'm going to start talking about this point here, ingredients growing with spread these oceans, but I'm actually going to go right into the word earth and how important soil is for us, because I can't reiterate the importance of soil to chefs and the future of the planet. Here we are. For everybody who doesn't know what soil looks like, it's pretty simple if you look at it like this, but without this, we don't exist. And soil has taken millennia, hundreds of thousands of years to form itself into this, which allows us to use it to grow food in. And as chefs, without this, we wouldn't be able to produce delicious food and generate the narratives that we do around the importance of sustainability, ethics, fair trade, anything. Without this, nothing happens. And so when you start talking about sustainability or transparency or resilience and what the future of food is, if we don't talk about soil, we can't talk about anything else. So I thought, well, where better to start than at the beginning? At the soil. We can go all the way back around, we can talk about food waste, we can talk about water, we can talk all those things with food waste that ultimately should end up as soil again, but we need to focus on soil. So, I asked a number of people from around the world to bring different soils, and I'm not going to tell you who brought this and where it's been smuggled from, but we have an example of a British soil. It's fairly rich and fairly peaty. It's a little bit darker. It's quite moist, and we're quite lucky in the UK to have a very rich and diverse soil, healthy soil. This soil here has come from India, and this is you can actually see it's much lighter and much finer, and it might be just that it's come from a specific region in India, but you know, every soil, even in different parts of your garden, let alone your country, let alone your continent, are different. And some will be more chalky, some will be more sandy, some will be more clayey, and they'll have different properties for different parts of either growing or animal husbandry on that land. And you know, understanding which soil you have on the land that you live on or work on is absolutely essential to being able to glean from it whatever it is that you want to make a living from, or you just want to support it for regards to giving the land back to nature. We talk about rewinding or rewilding. And so, you know, I want to talk about soil from a chef's perspective. I mean, I could be standing up here and talking about onions. I could be standing up here talking about tomatoes. But actually, I've realised that every time you talk about anything like that, it has to go back to the soil. So just very quickly, part of the reason why I want to discuss soil is, you know, I was kind of lucky as a kid. I kind of grew up in the countryside as well as in the city, and I was able to spend a lot of time running around in soil, picking stuff out of the ground, you know, eating carrots that are still, you know, you still got the dirt on them, and you kind of think, well, how come you still eat it? And you know, I kind of grew up in that kind of, I guess, era or time when soil wasn't considered to be a bad thing. You know, before all of the allergies kicked in, before suddenly children had, you know, the microbial spray on their hands, and all the kitchens were super clean. I think soil actually holds some important bacteria and stuff that your body needs, and part of that was what I'd like to discuss. There are two, in my opinion, and obviously this is all my opinion, so you can tell me no or yes, but this is kind of stuff that I've learned and found out and believe to be right. Soil health is directly linked to body health. And if the microbial and mycorrhizal fungi in the ground that you live on or eat from or work in are healthy, then you will have a healthy gut, and you'll have healthy gut bacteria, and you won't be more susceptible to perhaps foodborne illnesses, or perhaps you don't get run down as much. I think perhaps your gut is also your second brain, which will be telling you whether or not you've got the right diet going on for the season that you're in, whether you need to be consuming more vitamins or minerals or micronutrients. Your stomach tells you all of that, and your stomach is directly linked to soil. Soil health, gut health. And for me, soil health also equates to planetary health. So if the planet's healthy and your soil's healthy, then you'll be healthy. But if the environment that you live in is unhealthy, and it's polluted, it's got insecticides and pesticides and nanoparticles and plastic particles and everything in it, then the soil is never going to be able to give you the nutrients and the microvitamins and all bits and pieces that you require to be healthy. Therefore, your gut and your capacity to deal with how the planet interacts with your system doesn't work. And so I think that we're looking at these generational shifts between, in 25 years from now, when the soil is completely depleted, and we've got children in hospital for all different types of reasons, because they're run down, their obesity levels are high, and we haven't got the capacity to be more resilient for any kind of bugs or anything that are going to be attacking the human race. Then we're building this sort of Armageddon-style environment where soil is being so depleted that we haven't got access to anything healthy anymore. So, I was invited by the World Food Programme, so thank you Nina and all the WFP team for arranging for me to visit Ethiopia not that long ago. And in Ethiopia I went to see food being grown for the school feeding programme, the school meals programme, in and around the southern part of Addis Ababa, about 5 hours south of Addis Ababa. And so I arrived and I was invited to pick the corn, and I saw the corn being harvested, and I saw it being stored, I saw it being bagged, I saw it being distributed, stored in school kitchens, or sort of school warehouses for the cooking in school kitchens. The big issue was, when I picked the corn, you could see that it wasn't healthy. You could see that the fronds, as you pulled them down, they were not happy. You could see that the beetles had gotten into the corn kernels and it burrowed their way in, because the corn hadn't had the capacity to fight off the pests. And so I look up from the soil and I hold this piece of corn and I look into, I don't know if anyone's been to Ethiopia, it's vast. It's a massive nation, and they've taken so much of their trees down in order to feed the population, which has exploded from 30 million in 1980 to now nearly over 110 million at the moment, through success of their growing and feeding programs. But they've stripped the soil, which was rich in humus and humin and all those kind of content, because the trees have made it that way over millennia. And over one generation, they've stripped their soil, and now they're putting in Monsanto seeds with fertilizer, covering it with this sandy soil which has nothing in it, and they look up at the sky and they pray. That is an Ethiopian agricultural design system, which was feed someone for a day and they survive for a day. Teach someone how to grow and they'll grow forever. But that's not the case anymore. You've got to teach someone how to grow sustainably through generational shifts, and how you can be more resilient in the way you grow. And I think that's one of the key issues now around the soil discussion. So what I did was I took everything on board from the World Food Programme, reported back, talked about school meals, cooked in the school kitchen, brilliant. I arrived back on my garden and said, we're in big trouble. We need to talk about soil. We need to talk about soil health. And so what I did was the farmers in Ethiopia, I said, please give me some seeds that I can use to narrate what soil does in the UK versus soil in Ethiopia. And so on display here, I'm proudly displaying you Ethiopian cabbages, Brassica abyssinicum, planted on the 23rd of May 2019, and they're coming up, and I'm going to be taking them out of here and putting them in our soil and growing these Abyssinian cabbages. Okay, and that's it's an ancient seed which I also want to let to go to seed, harvest the seeds, and then regrow in our soil here as a narrative to connect us to Ethiopia. 1 minute. I'm never going to do this in 1 minute, Paul, but I need to get this out, right? Yeah. So, soil is an absolutely essential tool for sequestering carbon. Without soil, we're never going to be able to wrestle the amount of carbon that's in the atmosphere out of it, which is leading obviously to increased global warming at a rapid rate. It's going extortion. I mean, yesterday I'm reading that we're 70 years ahead of the timeline where these plateaus and tundras in northern Canada were supposed to, in 70 years' time, they're going to hit this temperature. They just hit it now. So how are we going to keep the temperature of this planet down? We have to use soil, grassland and trees to absorb the carbon in the atmosphere. There's no other way to do it. So, there's no other natural process that removes more carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere than photosynthesis. And so photosynthesis, and healthy photosynthesis, is made possible by soil. Soil also is a massive holder of carbon dioxide. And the more carbon dioxide in the soil, the healthier it makes it. Lots of tiny little pockets that lots of little animals can live in, and microorganisms and microfungi. So it's very, very important that we look after our soil. Carbon in soil makes it more fertile and allows for the plants to be able to break down and reassemble the microvitamins and microminerals that actually make it healthy for us to eat. Part of the issue that I had with the food that was being grown in Ethiopia was that it was growing in unhealthy soil, in an unhealthy environment, with Russian and Moroccan fertilizers, and they were feeding just simple corn and beans to the children every single day. Corn and bean, and corn and bean, and corn and bean, and corn and bean. The micronutrients in this stuff, it was not allowing these children to develop past a certain capacity because they didn't have the tiny little micronutrients that we all take for granted through all the organic vegetables that we have, or the better diets that we have. They just eat corn and beans every single day for 8 years. And their stomachs can't handle it. So it's really important that we have much more of the smaller micronutrients inside food, and that's where soil health comes in. One of the biggest issues that we find with soil is if soil is unhealthy and it's been compacted and it's been ploughed, is the fact that it compacts. And when you compact it, you don't give an opportunity for plants to break down the vitamins and minerals inside the soil. And it also doesn't hold water. And one of the biggest issues is the fact that now that we've treated our soil so badly, it rains and the water immediately runs off it because it's so compacted. One of the biggest issues, so then you compact the soil, then you plant in it, and then you put pesticides and fertilizers and antifungals onto that too. Right? So suddenly you're giving no opportunity for anything in the ground to be working to give you the healthy plant that we're supposed to be eating, because the soil is rubbish, the pesticides are rubbish, it's carbs, and we wonder why, I'm a gluten-free, I can't deal with this, I can't handle that. It's, our bodies are saying, this doesn't work for me anymore, I can't absorb it, this is making me sick. So, I believe that if you're a farmer and you work the land, then you should be compensated for the health of your soil. If your soil is healthy, then you're compensated for the soil because of its environmental benefits. We should be lauded for our environmental work. We should be given support and the narrative to say that company there does a great job of looking after their soil, and therefore they're going to be given something. So our three, I know we've got running out of time, but we need to do this, right? There are three great issues that face us today. One, biodiversity loss. Disagree with me? 2, desertification. 3, climate change. They're the three biggest issues that we face on this planet. And each one of those is being addressed separately. Desertification, I need to look at this in university, maybe even in Princeton they're looking at it. I don't know. I mean, there are issues that each in university or an NGO or a government body looks at and says, that's an issue. But they need to be banded together, they need to be put together, because each one of those, biodiversity loss, desertification and climate change, are being pretty much driven by our destruction of our soils. So, we need to look at how we can store carbon and water in our soil, because they're the two biggest issues that we're facing. Lack of water, or the water runoff, and lack of healthy soils, and the huge amount of carbon that's going into the atmosphere. So, the challenge I think we face futuristically is to get our soils healthy enough to absorb every single drop of rain that falls. Because rain falls is absolutely essential. I've seen it firsthand in Ethiopia, which was once a huge forest, is now nothing. And without that, we saw yesterday at Kew Gardens the importance of different ways of agroforestry, of putting plants in, growing plants, whether you're growing false bananas or coffee or chocolate. All of this can be done as a partnership of growing. Without the soil, nothing happens. So, if you destroy the soil, then we look at the incapacity from the mycorrhizal fungi and the microbiomes to trigger the relationship between soil and a plant. Soil, plant, sunshine. Soil and water, and carbon, healthy plant, it grows. We ask for it to be on our plates, and we cook it, and we serve it as healthy, nutritious food. So I disagree, and we can talk about organics all day long, but I tell you what, chucking pesticides and herbicides and fungicides and everything on this food is not going to be allowing the right process to go into the food which is going to let the chefs cook nutritious and healthy food. Okay? So, we should be treating our soil like we value gold. In fact, we should be saying that soil is our black gold. And we should treat it, I mean, you can't eat gold, but we can't eat food without soil, and we're not giving enough respect to soil. So I suggest that we all push forward with saying that soil is the most important thing in our lives, in our businesses' lives, in our children's lives, in our communities' lives, and basically for the planet. Without soil, we're not here. So, I would suggest that we focus very severely on soil loss, on our soil degradation. We should focus on the misuse of soil and the fact that we misunderstand soil. We need to put it on the front of every discussion that we have as chefs and as producers and big companies and universities and anything like that. Soil at the forefront. Without it, we don't exist. Thank you. Woo!